We have about 50 people in the chat or in the Zoom meeting. So welcome everyone. We are going to be speaking about the new invoicing process and the new quarterly report process through CImpact. So Christine, you can hop on to the next slide where we'll talk about what we will be discussing today. All right, so this is just a brief agenda. So like I said, welcome everyone. It's good to see all of you here. What we're going to hopefully accomplish today is kind of demystify some invoicing and quarterly report processes through CImpact. We're going to be kind of reminding you if you need to add someone to CImpact, how to do that. A reminder about budget completion, and then our new invoicing reimbursement process with actual costs, and then briefly just discussing what you guys will be reporting on in the quarterly reports. And then we have some reminders for you as some new contracts are getting going, and then just kind of housekeeping items for the beginning of the year with these new contracts. So, and then we'll answer some questions. So, all right. I know we have done a few things through CImpact already, our applications, our budgets, but if you need to add any staff members to CImpact, it's quite easy. All you'll do is once you log into your agency site, there's a box on the upper left-hand corner. You'll click contacts, then there's an add new button. You'll just click that. You'll insert the information and submit, and then so they will have the login capabilities. And the URL for CImpact will always be this one. We can throw it in the chat at some point or send it again. And then a huge reminder, I know we have most in, but if you are still working on your final budget, either your 2021-2022 contract or our new 2022-2023 contracts, please submit your budget as soon as possible. We need everyone to submit so we can start the reimbursement process. So, work with us if you have not done so already. And then we're going to move on to the reimbursement process. So, a few new things from what we have been doing this last couple years. First of all, I'm going to skip that second bullet because I think that's the most relevant, but we are no longer working with the unit rates for our budgets and our reimbursements. We are now switching to actual costs, and we are doing this through CImpact, our new site, and then the invoices they were due on the 7th last year. We're switching that to the 10th for every month moving forward. And just a slight reminder, if you are an agency with multiple contracts, so you have some in kind of the 2 years, or you have multiple contracts with, through the program areas, you'll be able to invoice for all your contracts in CImpact. They'll just be separated out once you get into the reimbursement page. So we can move on to the next slide, where I'm going to be kind of taking you through screenshots just so you kind of are aware of kind of what you will be seeing when you start your invoicing. And just as a preface, this is kind of just our test site, so things might look a little different for you and your budget, but it'll look very, very similar. So when you first log into CImpact, you're on your agency page. This is kind of what it should look like. You'll see on this left-hand box, and I kind of pointed it out, when you're going to do your invoicing, you'll click on this reimbursement button that's highlighted in this poorly drawn box, but you'll just simply click that, and it's going to take you to the next page, and we can go on to the next slide, where this is your reimbursement page. So this page will it will kind of allow you to go into all of your invoicing. Like I said, if you have multiple contracts, if you're one agency, they'll be separated out here. So you'll be able to kind of know what budgets you're working through. So once you get into this reimbursement page, you're going to see which invoices are open to you. So you'll likely see in a week or so here, you're going to log in, you're going to go into the reimbursements, and you'll see this link that says January of 2022, and it just has kind of, it's laid out. It has your budget, your approved year to date, and some other kind of cool features that kind of show you as you are invoicing along the year, kind of where you're at. So that's kind of a cool new feature. So we can go on to the next slide. So you're going to click that January 2022 link, and it's going to bring you to basically kind of what your budget looked like. And so all of your line items will be separated out, and the finance staff will just simply kind of put in the month's expense in the appropriate cell. And you can see at the bottom here, we have cost share, milestone payments, donations, adjustments. And these are currently, just because it's a test, these are in the direct expenses, but as you kind of log in, you'll see we are going to separate the budget out by direct expenses, indirect, subcontractors, and then probably this last section to deal with kind of these outlying items like cost sharing and milestone payments. So as you can see on the far right-hand side, for every line item, there is a button, and you can attach, you'll see kind of a little kind of a comic book bubble text speech. That is an area where you can provide a comment for that line item. Like, let's just say there's something went on in that particular cost or expense, and you can provide a comment, and then you can also provide an attachment too if you need any supporting documentation. And so as you can see now, like, if you remember from your application, there are some things that you had to itemize, like one being staff. So if you needed to kind of break down the staff wages for that particular month, you would click on the staff wages and expenses by staff position, and you'll click to itemize it, and then it'll bring you to a new page, and you'll just put in the wages. And I know some agencies can't do that, so we'll have another kind of, I think it kind of cut off in the screenshot, but under adjustments, it says salaries, and you can just provide kind of a lump sum rather than breaking it down by position, if that's easier for your agency. So if we go to the next slide, this is kind of just illustrates, like I said, if you had to itemize a certain things, there's just a few things in the budget that you'll have to kind of delineate, and staff being one of them, or some, let's say, other expenses. But you just simply click on that link on the left-hand side. It'll bring you to something like here, and you'll just provide the expense that's appropriate. You'll hit save and update, or save and return to the previous page, and it'll bring you back to your budget to complete it further. And so if we go to the next slide, this kind of just shows you, once you get to the end of the budget, you've done everything. This is just an additional comment and attachment box if you need to provide any general comments or attachments that aren't associated with a specific line item. And once you're done with that, the month's reimbursement, you'll hit that save and submit reimbursement link, and then it'll bring you to our next page, which is the next slide. And this slide just prompts you to, it's kind of like your signature almost. The finance director will just kind of, you'll just put the name or the individual filling this out to kind of attest that this is accurate. And you'll submit the request, and once you do that, it'll go to us, we'll review it, we'll approve it, and you'll receive your payment just like you have been in the past years. And so that is the reimbursement process in a nutshell. It's pretty self-explanatory once you get into CImpact. Like I said, you will probably be able to actually look into your specific budgets probably within the next, I'd say, 10 days here. Once we open it up, we just have to do some final tweaking within CImpact so we can allow you guys to start reimbursing. And February 10th, you will have your first reimbursement. So that is the process. It's pretty simple, and I think CImpact will allow you to do a few. It's a little more efficient than what we have been doing, so hopefully it'll be an easier process for everyone. And yeah, we can go to the next slide where we're going to talk about some quarterly report items. So
I have a question about that,
Sure.
if I can, before we move on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could you give some examples of like attachments or supported documents or things that you would like to see or are required?
Yeah, I think this would be a good. I can't think of anything in particular, but let's say for our translation interpretation folks, they have to kind of put their invoices there to show all the services they've done. But Kati, do you have any specific examples from just a regular kind of budget that they would be providing attachments to?
Yeah, I know there are some providers that they like to submit an actual invoice along with the reimbursement form. So that will be the place to include the invoice or any other support documentation that you think we need to see. But mostly, yeah, for providers that they want to submit an actual invoice, that would be the place to do it.
I also have a question, Kyle.
Go for it.
Okay. The 10th of the month, not all bills for the previous month will have been filed by then. Would you prefer that we make estimates for that, or that we wait until the next month to catch up? And then obviously the final month would have to be some level of estimates if the 10th is still the closeout date.
I can answer that too.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have not closed your month by the 10th, instead of doing an estimate, I think I prefer if you just, close your month and then next month you include that in the reimbursement and you can make a note of it. That would be better.
And then for the final month, though, with the 10th still being the deadline, especially being year end months, the year end doesn't typically, so then you would need to make an estimate for that, correct?
Yeah, a year end, that would be, we can talk more about it, see how it, next year, maybe we can extend it a couple of days or do an estimate. We'll work with you on that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and like I said, there's that adjustment line, so you can put whatever, let's say you had a rollover bill or something, and you'll put that adjustment amount in there, then you can put a comment saying, bill was late, this is the adjusted reimbursement. So you'll have a chance to do all that in here.
I also have a question about attachments, because in the past with our invoice, we had to submit zip code attachments, and we submitted photo and written documentation of like our play and learn bags. Do you want that all attached, and where?
Hi, Kathleen. Yeah, I think with those, so this, I was looking at some of the specifics for the attachments. I think it takes basically any file up to 32 megabytes or something like that. So at the very bottom, you can see that final attachment section. Like I said, if it's not associated with a specific line item, you can, at the very end, you'll be able to attach kind of everything there. And if as we get along, if something's not totally invoice related, then maybe you can just send it via email or something. But we can work that out as things progress. So thank you for the question. And then if there are no further questions, we can move on to the quarterly reports. And I don't think I said this at the beginning, but we'll have a chance to answer questions at the very end too. So I know we had 2 hours for this meeting, but I don't think it'll take that long. So we'll have plenty of time for any questions at the end. And so for quarterly reports, these will also be in CImpact. We are currently building the form with them now, so it's in production. But it's going to look very similar to the process of invoicing, you'll see a reporting line, and you'll click, and then it'll go into your report, and you'll just do it all through CImpact through text boxes and number boxes. Christine, could you go back to that the previous slide for one quick moment? And like we said, we're going to send you all a manual once it's finally complete, and so with screenshots and everything you'll need for that. And then just a reminder, this is the for the new year, these are the deadlines. So the first quarterly report will be due April 15th. So we have a little bit of time before that happens, but we just want to talk about kind of what you will be reporting on now, because we've changed a few things from what we have done in the past. So this is kind of what we're going to be looking for in our quarterly report. So the first two items are, you're going to be reporting on your numbers served and your encounters provided. So you'll kind of provide the numbers, and then if you have to, any explanation from, how the quarter went, you'll be able to provide kind of some context there. And I know for example, the outreach navigation, your numbers served and encounters are kind of the same thing. So you'll just report on those three levels with, outreach, screening, and navigation. And then for the other folks, it's a little more straightforward. So you just provide how many people you have served, and then the encounters provided. And so next, after you've submitted that information, we have kind of moved to a general narrative section. And so here you can report on those SMART goals included in your proposal. And for the folks that still have one more year in their 2021 to 2022 contract, this is where you're going to be reporting on those indicators you had. So, in the past, we had, the Word document and the Excel. It's just going to be all in this section to report on those numbers and anything you need to tell us. And then also in this section, if there's any timeline or budget kind of things you need to report on, you'll be able to do that here. And then also, this is kind of the chance to report on the other items that maybe are outside those SMART goals in your proposal. So I know some projects, they want some things to tell us or report on that aren't, so specific to those goals. So you'll have an opportunity to provide anything here, and then you will have, room for attachments and all that stuff. So then we're gonna, like our last quarterly report, you'll be reporting on parent satisfaction rates. So all programs or contracts should be collecting this information, and then you'll be reporting on it through, satisfied, neutral, or not satisfied. So hopefully those three those three kind of ways we break it down, you can translate kind of how you do your surveys to those. Then also you'll be reporting on any staff changes related to the Ready by 5 funding. You'll provide a brief bio, and then of course, if you have a success story, you'll provide it here, and then just, obviously make sure to get permission to share. And so we are no longer going to be asking for the trainings and, the quality improvement steps. We're kind of move those toward kind of the annual assessment. So hopefully this will just be a little more of a report that you can show kind of what's happening rather than reporting on those things at that time. So I think this will be a good opportunity to showcase, what's going on in your project. And like I said, we'll have the manual coming that is going to show you, step by step how to do this, and, some more in-depth instructions if anything comes up about, the narrative section, how you're going to report on these things. So this is just kind of a brief kind of foreshadowing of what you'll be reporting on for this year and moving forward. And so I think we can move on to the next slide.
I think there's a question actually.
Oh, sure.
There was a hand raised.
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, that was me. That was Peggy. Yeah, thanks, Heather. So just on the parent satisfaction, so we have like 10 or 12 different items that we rate on, on a Likert scale of 1 to 5, very satisfied, satisfied, neutral, not satisfied, very dissatisfied. So they might have, satisfied on 10, neutral on 1, and not satisfied on 1. So we would count those as satisfied. Correct. I mean, there's going to be some variance between, the different line items for each client.
Yeah, and I think Peggy, you'll be able to, we're gonna probably, set it up like this, but like I said, there'll probably be a further text or comment box so you can explain things a little more in depth, because I know not every agency is gonna have as simple as this. So as long as you can kind of provide a general translation into these three, then you can kind of break it down even further later on.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
If that works.
Hey, Kyle, can I just ask a quick question on the parent satisfaction rate again? This is Jen. I know that within our on-quick meetings, we kind of came up with some standardized questions that we would use on a parent or client satisfaction survey. In that narrative section you were just talking with Peggy about, would that be a place to put that? Or are you going to ask one of those specific questions that we had kind of outlined or identified?
You mean, could you elaborate on the second part of what you were asking? Kind of like,
sure. So during those on-quick meetings, we kind of established like some general standardized questions that we would all be asking so that our data was streamlined. In this quarterly report, are you going to be asking the satisfaction rate on one of those previously identified questions? Or is it in general? Because I mean, there's, 10 questions. Which one do you want me to answer? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
You want me to help?
Yeah, sure. Go
Okay.
ahead, Heather, if you have any.
There's a little bit of history there. And so the standardized questions that Jen is referencing came out of one of the groups, the outreach and navigation group specifically. So they're not standardized across all agencies. Like Kyle said, it's your parent satisfaction, the way you do things, the way you collect information. We have not prescribed one way to do that. And just, we want to respect that programs do that differently. So if you can just find a way to map, an indication that that shows that parents are satisfied with the program. It probably will look a little bit different. We can help you with it, Evan, and I can serve as a resource if you guys, want a thought partner about how to do that. But it really is just helping us, just kind of ensure that, parents are being represented and, are satisfied with these services throughout the year. So it would be one way. It wouldn't be, quarter one, we're going to report on this indicator, and then quarter two, we're going to report on this indicator. But there would be kind of like a method or a formula that you would establish based on the way that you collect that information, and you would report that to us every quarter. So it'd be it might be shrunk down a little, but we can help you with that if you need that.
Great. I'll just send you and Evan maybe a list of our questions that we do ask, and we can kind of come up with that offline. Thanks.
Thank you, Jen. All right, I think we can move on to some housekeeping and some reminders. With these new contracts, they also will need either a data agreement or a BAA, which is a business associate agreement. And those are kind of the differences. If you're a covered entity, under HIPAA, you will likely have a BAA for your data sharing items. And so if you do have a BAA and you've had a contract with us in the past, they do not expire. And so you'll just have to kind of send us this again, as long as the information is still accurate, and that will serve as your data agreement. Now, if your agency is a non-covered entity, you will need a data service agreement, and those expire every contract. So if you have a new, if it's a new contract or continuing, we'll still need a new DSA from you. And those are found on our millage portal, both the BAA and the DSA too. So let's see, you will need a data agreement if you submit. Okay, yeah, and else that's, even before, if you are not sending any data to the county, you don't need any of these. So, but that's pretty rare for us. So, work with either Christine and I if you are having some trouble with this, but just get either agreement to us by the end of this week, and so we can send them to the county. So we're in a good place for sending data starting in February. And I think we can go on to the next slide. And so, yeah, some more reminders. Like I said, the data agreements, please get us those by January 21st if you have not done so already. I know a lot of you have provided us with that when we're doing our negotiations for the contract. And also, please confirm your agency's data point persons. So these are the people or person that will receive links to the to submit the secure link for our monthly data submissions to the health department and the Ready by 5 updates. And so you can have up to 2 individuals. And if you need to update that or provide those now, you can find that in this link for the SurveyMonkey, and then we can probably send that out too if we can't put it in the chat. And just a final reminder for the folks that have the 2021 to 2022 contracts, so you still have a year left. We have to amend all of your contracts so to switch over to the actual cost and providing you with a new data template. And so if you have not done so already, just work with either Christine and I to complete that Word document, the language, the budget, CImpact, and the data template. So I know we've been in contact with most folks. So if you're still working through that, just work with us and we'll get that all set. But that's just a general reminder because we want to get those budgets submitted so we can make the reimbursement process. And I think that is all we have for you. And I think, yeah, questions, comments, concerns?
Kyle, I have a question. This is Shanae. I'm sorry, my video's not probably on. There you go. Speaking of budgets, how are you? Speaking of budgets, and I missed the first part, so I'm sorry. I got in about 7 minutes in, but I'm just wondering, how are we handling budget modifications? Like I'll just give you the example that we're undergoing right now because there's a talent shortage. We're looking for folks. We're having to really, make offers that are different than probably what we've ever had to do. And that certainly isn't reflected in the budget. Do you want us just to report on the percentage change? Or do you want us to get a budget modification at some point? I mean, certainly it can't happen ahead of time because we'll be in the hiring process. And, I need to quickly give people an offer faster than I've ever had to do just to snag them up. And I don't know others who are experiencing the same thing, but I see Kathleen shaking her head. So I'm wondering, how are we handling that as a system?
Thanks, Shanae. I think, and Kati, if you want to jump in as well, I think with budget modifications, at least in the past, we've just kind of done it, through kind of just letting us know, then we'll just kind of keep an eye on things. But if there needs to be more of a formal process, Kati, do you have anything to add with that?
Yeah, I mean, you can do budget transfers from allocation within the budget, and I know with CImpact, there's a process for that. Is that budget transfer? So we can work with you on that. Okay. You can do CImpact, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I wasn't fully aware of the new process, and I thought there was some restriction on line items. some percentage. And so that's what I was really worried about, because I was like, nothing is going the way we thought, because you got a talent shortage out here.
Yeah, and there's in CImpact, there's an opportunity. It's called like a budget transfer, and it's kind of it's like you request it if there's a major modification to your budget, and then we look at it and you kind of approve it. So that's one of the new features in CImpact too, and so we can work through that process too, because I don't think we'll just have to kind of see how that process works
Sure.
within the system. So
thank you for your flexibility on that, because I mean, it's going to be very difficult to make that happen. I mean, literally, I had a person, I had to come in on Saturday to make that offer, or my Monday I might have, so I'm not going to be able to get stuff to you and wait for an approval, to do that. So, but we can communicate it and try to negotiate it. And I know you guys are always helpful to us.
Yeah, we'll try to be as flexible as we can. We get things are difficult right now, so we'll work with you to get to a solution. And then Alyssa Bryan, hey Alyssa, you're asking if you have multiple contracts, can you have is it 2 contacts per contract? We have multiple staff or different staff that report on different programs. Heather or Evan, do you have an answer for that one? Because I do not know that answer.
I would just want to clarify with Alyssa. Are you saying, maybe you could just quickly in the chat or vocally just disambiguate contracts from programs, just so I have a better idea of what you're referring to?
Yeah, that was a bit of a tongue twister. I mean, for the data submission, so right now, for different programs, we have different contacts, and I think we have more than 2 right now, so I'm just making sure that we can continue to do that. So under Healthy Families, we have different staff that report the data for that contract.
Yeah, so like different parts of the contract get reported on by different people. You should be able to put down the different contacts. I can double check that that setting is set in SurveyMonkey. Just give me a few minutes and I'll respond to the chat when it's ready. But yeah, go ahead and upload the different data people that are responsible for those different parts of the reporting process for the contract.
I just updated that actually in SurveyMonkey. So if you are trying to submit, I apologize. We didn't allow you to do that, but now you should be able to. So I'm on it, Evan.
All right, another question. Jen, any movement on combining the quarterly and financial reports for services that fall into the same funding program like ON? So, if you'll need to do a quarterly report, and an invoice for each specific contract. And so, Jen, as I understand it, fostering connections is different than, your, I guess, general ON contract. So I think you'd be reporting on those separately. But yeah, it's all through CImpact. And like I said, when you'll be invoicing, since they have, separate budgets, you'll invoice per contract for the budget. And then the same thing goes for quarterly reports, if that answers your question.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, let's see here. Yep, for translation and interpretation providers, this is from Holly at Hispanic Center West Michigan. Hello, Holly. Should the process of approving invoices with RB5 requests through email before we submit the monthly reimbursement through CImpact? Yeah, so I think the process will be the same, kind of behind the scenes. You'll be reaching out to those who requested translation and interpretation services. You'll iron out any discrepancies, make sure that everything's good, and then you'll upload kind of the same documents as you have been in CImpact. Then for you guys, you have one line item that you just put, what the month's reimbursement is. So I think the best way is just continue on, the behind the scenes approval process, and then rather than sending, the invoice to us, you'll just do it the same way in CImpact. So you'll just put your kind of amount for that month, you'll attach all the documents, and that'll be that. And then I think with translation interpretation agencies, I think we'll just, I think we'll see how things go. But I think, once you submit your invoice, we'll assume that everything has been approved, unless we, hear from you otherwise. And then, if it has to go to the next month or something, we'll just handle that. But yeah, I think it'll be the exact same process, but you'll just be putting in your reimbursement through CImpact. Any other questions? No? Well, if there are no further questions, I think that is what we had to give you guys for today. Hopefully that it was informative and helpful. And like I said, we'll be probably opening up the reimbursement process, hopefully within, the next 10 days or so you can kind of get in, look around before, February 10th comes along for our new process. But in the meantime, if you have any other questions about anything, feel free to contact us, and we'll be happy to help you with any issues. So if there are no further questions, I think we can give you back, an hour and 20 minutes of your day. I think we all need that. So anything else, anyone? Anything from other First Step Kent staff? Updates, things you want to give the group as we have them all here? I don't think so. All right. All right.
I do have one thing, and I want to put Evan on the spot. I know many of you have met him, but I just want to make sure that everybody had a chance to say hi to Evan over the screen. Evan's our new data and outcomes coordinator. So we're so pleased. He's been here about a month, and it's just, he's still learning. Feel free to reach out and ask questions, and he'll work through any data questions that you have, and we'll be sure to put his email in the chat as well, just so you have that.
Yes, Evan has been a wonderful asset so far. So get to know him and use him for his good data brains. So yeah, I think that's all we have from everyone. So everyone take care. Have a nice rest of your Thursday, and have a good weekend. And hopefully it goes by fast. So like I said, reach out to us if you have any more questions throughout this process, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks, bye.